Canberra is proud of its image as the bush capital, but little of its public garden areas would have been possible without the work of Yarralumla Nursery. The majority of trees and shrubs planted in Canberra's public places have come from the nursery. The trees in the Parliamentary Triangle, Glebe and Western Park are good examples. A plant issue scheme has been operating from the nursery since 1925, providing free trees and shrubs to the owners of newly constructed homes. This far-sighted program has helped Canberra develop into a garden city, far removed from the bare plains that faced the city's early inhabitants. The plant issue scheme still continues today, providing plants suitable for Canberra's climate to owners of new blocks of land, helping to keep Canberra a garden city. The nursery has grown over 53 million plants in its 90-year history. This year, over 1,500 species of plants will be grown, with over 500,000 plants produced in total. The nursery was established by Thomas Weston in 1914 on behalf of the Commonwealth Government. Although known as Yarralumla Nursery, it actually predates the suburb of Yarralumla, as it was not started until 1928. The original production nursery occupied more than 28 hectares, and another 130 hectares was used for permanent plantings. This larger area was included as part of Westbourne Woods, now the Royal Canberra Golf Course, and Western Park. The nursery now occupies two sites, 10 hectares in Western Park at Yarralumla and 21 hectares at Pialago near the airport. At Yarralumla, plants are propagated and grown in containers. Plants are dispatched wholesale, and there is a retail garden centre. The Pialago site is used to propagate and grow deciduous trees. At its peak, the nursery employed 70 people in the 1940s. Today, there are around 25 permanent staff, plus 4 or 5 contract staff in the peak season. The nursery contains a number of historical buildings and facilities going back to the earliest days of the nation's capital. Hobday's Cottage was built around 1922 and has seen several nursery managers' families grow up over the years. It currently serves as a gallery and restaurant. The potting and propagation buildings were constructed in the early 1900s, and the greenhouses date from the 1930s. Many of these facilities are heritage listed in recognition of the nursery's role in Canberra's development. The nursery has been associated with many people significant in Canberra's early development. Charles Weston was the first manager of Yarralumla Nursery, and he pioneered the greening of the Canberra area and its surrounding hills between 1913 and 1926. Over this period, Weston was responsible for the planting of more than 2 million trees and shrubs. Many of the mature trees seen around the nursery date back to Weston's time as manager. Weston is largely responsible for creating the basis for much of the landscape of Old Canberra. With dense plantings of indigenous and exotic trees and shrubs, he created a special landscape character for the streets, avenues and parklands of the emerging city. His work achieved strong seasonal colour effects and provided protection from the winter cold and hot, dusty summer winds. John Hobday, who was superintendent under Weston, became the next nursery manager and carried Weston's vision forward. Lindsay Pryor was manager of the nursery from 1944 to 1958, and in this time did considerable research on breeding and selection of plants at the nursery. The nursery collects a large proportion of its own seed and propagation material. Much of this is collected from the local region, ensuring that the species grown will be suitable for Canberra's severe climatic and soil conditions. In the late 1970s, the nursery pioneered the direct sowing of Australian trees into specially designed tubes. This has now developed into a state-of-the-art process using containers that produce a stable, high-quality root system. Around 80 species are now grown this way, and many of these are used by land care groups and in rural plantings. In 1998, the first line of a series of threatened Australian plant species were made available through the nursery, increasing awareness of all rare and endangered species. The nursery also has a major role in Floriade, Canberra's Spring Flower Festival, coordinating the purchase and supply of many of the plants used to create the large display beds, and has sponsored and supported the festival since it began. It also continues to provide an important community service. For example, the nursery has grown over 1,000 cypress pine seedlings to replace trees lost in the 2003 bushfires, and has supplied many other trees to restore burnt public areas. It has propagated seedlings from the lone pine from Gallipoli to help schools throughout Australia celebrate Anzac Day. The nursery continues to help train special needs children at Black Mountain and Woden schools, and provides opportunities for horticultural apprentices. Yarralumla Nursery has a rich history, and with over 53 million plants being supplied since it began, it deserves much credit for the charm of Canberra's streets, parks and private homes.